Hello, my friend, and welcome to the 387th episode of the Sales Podcast. I'm Wes Schaefer, the Sales Whisperer, your host. Today we have Mr. Adam Honig. I had him on the CRM Sushi podcast. Actually, I had him on that after this interview, but just based on scheduling, it took a little longer to get this one out. But he is with Spiro HQ, Spiro HI, another artificial intelligence company. So go check him out on the CRM Sushi podcast and see what they're up to. Very cool stuff. But he's got a great entrepreneurial story, how he built this company, how he launched it. So I wanted to have him on both. So you're in for a treat to check out both of those episodes. Just before him, I had James McGregor on. James launched a cool company for doing video marketing. Landed over almost 4.5 million subscribers in under 5 years. Really took off. So you need to be doing more video. We get into that and why and how. And just before that one, we got into why you should be doing more podcasting with Michael Greenberg. So we're covering all the bases. Artificial intelligence, how to hire, how to be seen, how to be heard, how to repurpose your content. Right? I do these episodes, I get video out of it, I get audio out of it. Zoom transcribes the content, so I've written content. I take notes as I do it, so I'm personally getting smarter. I'm creating outbound links. I'm creating internal links to various episodes and the show notes, posting, cross-promoting into other articles and offers that I have. So, and look at your own buying habits, look at your own viewing and recreational habits. How are you consuming content? You're probably reading less, you're watching more videos, you're listening to more audio. It's where the market is, it's where it's heading even more so. I'm trying to give you the tips and tricks and insights to leverage that, okay? So there you have it. Don't say I didn't try to give you some help. If you need some help finding great salespeople, check out my sponsor, thesaleswhisperer.com/recruit. Help you find great salespeople. And if you're a salesperson, it's free to use. If you're a hiring company, it's effective and fast to use. So check it out, would you? thesaleswhisperer.com/recruit. If you're trying to get better at sales, if you want to hang out with like-minded, motivated people, if you want to pick my brain, ask questions, and get them answered by me at the lowest rate ever available, go to 30daysalesgrowth.com. I'm about to turn it into a subscription model, so you can lock in a one-time payment now and always have access to it. All right? 30daysalesgrowth.com will help you sell mo better. Now let's bring on our guest. Adam Honig, all the way from Boston, Massachusetts, where it's cold and raining, and I'm in shorts. Welcome to the Sales Podcast, man. How the heck are you?
I'm great. Yeah, no, I'd be a lot better if it wasn't like 40 degrees and raining, but besides that, I'm excellent, Wes. Thanks.
So you're doing this artificial intelligence, proactive relationship management. It reminds me of a joke. You want to hear a joke? You want to hear a joke?
Let's hear it. Let's hear it.
So I'm walking around the house. I'm from Texas, and I'm wearing my 6-shooter on both hips. And my wife says, "Why are you wearing your guns in the house?" And I said, "Because they're listening." She laughed. I laughed. The TV laughed. I shot the TV. There you go. How about that for a starter, huh? You're not laughing, man. Is that because you're spying on us? You don't want us to shoot the TV?
I think I heard the joke before, actually. No, I'm just kidding. No, it's a great joke. It's a great joke.
Come
But we
on,
are
man.
all
You got to
listening.
play along. All right, we're going to start this over. I'll just delete the beginning, and then you laugh hysterically. Okay, you got to make me look good, man.
All right. I promise. Next time I'll laugh doubly hard. Don't worry about it.
But artificial intelligence, just where we hit record, right? My watch turned on because I said something, and it's like it couldn't hear me. I was like, everybody's listening. My previous guest turned me on to otter.ai. It's artificial intelligence for doing transcription of podcasts. So, I mean, it's everywhere. And now you're applying this technology to make CRMs better, right?
Yep, it's true. And you know who got me into this whole artificial intelligence thing? It was Scarlett Johansson, actually.
Yeah, I mean, she and I, we go way back. Yeah.
I mean, I know you used to date her many years ago before you had all the kids and everything. But have you seen that movie, Her? that she's in, she's actually not in it, right? So she plays an AI assistant, just her voice is in the movie.
Oh,
And that's enough to get Joaquin Phoenix to fall in love with her, just her voice, which totally makes sense to me. And so anyway, I had sold my last company, and it took a momentary break between work experiences, and I saw a movie, and I saw this
you were
movie.
just binging on movies, weren't you?
Hey, like for like the first time in my whole life, I wasn't traveling 4 days a week and being crazy with everything, and I could watch a movie. And of course, what it did is it inspired a business idea. So but
Nice.
it turned out to be a good one because Scarlett Johansson in this movie, she guides Joaquin Phoenix through his life because she knows everything about him because she listens to everything and she reads his email and all this whatnot. And I'm watching this movie and I'm listening, thinking to myself, this is what every salesperson needs, right? They don't need Salesforce. They need Scarlett Johansson helping them throughout their life, advising them on what to do. And so the idea for Spiro was really born from that movie. And it's unfortunate that Scarlett Johansson was having a baby at the time, so she couldn't get all involved in the project and everything like that. But we're still just good friends in the meanwhile. But that's how we kind of got the start. So this idea that everybody's listening, including Scarlett Johansson, is definitely something that's happening in the world today.
Well, it is everywhere. Did you have a technical background? Were you working in CRMs before, or maybe you used
Yes,
them as a consumer and hated them and said, "All right, there's got to be a better way"?
I've worked in CRM for about 20 years at this point, 15 before starting Spiro. And my last company, we were one of the largest Salesforce consulting partners worldwide. I started that company from just myself, built it up to about 200 consultants, sold it in 2012. And we worked with, small companies like MetLife or Charles Schwab, Abbott Labs, helping them with CRM. And sort of the common denominator for a lot of these companies was everybody hates CRM.
Yeah.
You'd stand up in front of a bunch of salespeople and you'd say, "Hey, how many people like your CRM?" And some guy threw his shoe at me. I mean, that's like the level of excitement that's out there for CRM.
Wait a minute. Were you doing this in Iraq?
We cornered the market in that Iraqi
In the
CRM market.
shoe-throwing corner of the world, that's us.
Maybe that guy was Iraqi. I don't know what his story was, that guy. Yeah, that's right. That's the traditional insult. George Bush got a shoe thrown at him. Is that
I think he
right?
got two thrown at him.
Oh, if they throw two shows at you, that's the worst insult.
Yeah, I think they literally threw two. But yeah, that's like a bad insult, man.
That's terrible. But that's how salespeople feel about CRM. It weighs them down. It causes them to spend hours every week typing stuff in. I mean, I think the only people who are worse at taking notes on stuff are doctors than salespeople. So it's a major pain point.
Well, yes, but wouldn't you say that's the mediocre ones? I mean, I guess there's always an exception. I was always a good note taker. And maybe I didn't want to forget anything. I don't know. But I had no problem keeping notes, and it's the way I wouldn't forget anything. And I with 7 kids, I couldn't afford to lose a sale.
Right.
So I'm
Well,
sure there's some
I
top
love
performers that just go off of memory, but I don't know. I had to write stuff down.
I love taking notes in like a notebook when I can write it down. I feel the connection to the note to kind of what I'm doing in the moment. That's really helpful for me. But at the end of the week, kind of putting together your forecast or your list and having to justify all of your different deals, that's a different type of note taking that a lot of people don't really enjoy.
Yeah. But it's still, I mean, you're planning. It's,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, are we just going to take away the need? Is it all going to be McDonald's, man? Just call in your order. No, just talk to the AI. Talk to Scarlett.
No, I mean, I definitely don't think that's going to be the case. There's always going to be in B2B sales for sure. There's always going to be a need for an advisor, a sales consultant, somebody to be guiding the customer through the right path to figure out what the right solution is for them.
Right.
It's not about convincing them of something. It's about helping them find the right need that matches up against what they're doing. So that's never going to be, I mean, it's going to be a million years before that's replaced by AI in my view.
Right. Because I'm replaceable or irreplaceable. Well, yeah, I'm one of those for sure. But this is your second company you started or third?
This is my third company. Yeah. I'm getting kind of old. It's kind of a shame, but it happens to all of us, I guess, over time.
Hey, it beats the alternative.
Yeah. No, my first company was a middleware software company. I don't know if you know what middleware is. It's software that connects other software together. It's kind of technical,
Kind of
super
like
important.
a Zapier kind of.
Yeah, kind of like a Zapier. Back when we were doing it, it was mainframes that we were connecting to. So kind of Big Iron and IBM and Unisys machines and stuff like that. And sort of the beginning of the dot-com era to make all of that work. And so I ran a big sales team. I had a big whiteboard of every deal that we were doing every quarter to make our number. And that's how I kind of discovered CRM, which for me was just a better way to keep track of all of the different deals that we were doing. And I liked it so much that after we sold that company, I started a company to focus on CRM.
Gotcha. So, what have you learned from starting companies? What if you were to start a fourth company, what would you do different? Or maybe you did it all right on this third one. What did you do
I mean, I can
differently?
tell you, I've made plenty of mistakes along the way. I think for me, one of the most important things about starting a company is who you start it with. I'd say the most successful companies are started by a pair or three people because you have different skills that you can balance off. And those two or three people have to work together really, really well. It's kind of like a basketball team. You have to know where the other guy is going so you can pass the ball ahead of him without having to think about it. And so for me, in the Spiro, my latest company, having that core set of folks that I started the company with, my partners in the business, super, super important. My first company, I started with a guy who was a complete jerk, super smart technical guy, amazing, got like a PhD at 19, but it was just a complete jerk. And that led to all kinds of problems down the road, kind of stuff that I still shake my head at when I think back on it.
Right. So, how do you know? How do you know if somebody's not a jerk? Because, I mean, does power corrupt and absolute power corrupts absolutely? I mean, do people change when they're like they're given a title and they've got an office, they got somebody answering their phones all of a sudden, they're like they turn into just you know crazy man?
The test for me about whether somebody's a jerk or not usually comes in how they interact with people that are perhaps lower, in the corporate hierarchy than they are. And so at Spiro, one of the ways we test for that is we always have our entry level folks interview more senior people when they come in.
Ah,
And what happens is that the more senior people sometimes will show their truer side to somebody that they perceive as more junior than them. And that's the clearest sign of a jerk that we can come up with. So we do test for that. We do have a no jerks hiring policy at Spiro. It's just, you're spending a lot of hours at work and you really want to make sure you do that with people you like.
yeah. And how do you decide on percentage of ownership versus percentage of control? I've a friend of mine, he's an attorney, business attorney, and he talks about don't have partners and don't do 50-50 splits. I mean, of course, he's an attorney, so everything's terrible, right? He sees the worst in everybody, so he's planning for the absolute worst every single time. How have you handled that?
Well, in my current company in Spiro, I put up most of the money to start the business. It was my idea. I got the band together. So I think it was kind of natural that my position in the business would be bigger than the rest of the team.
Okay,
But you have
fair
to
enough.
come to some sort of accommodation on that, and people need. And I think it's a really good test, actually, as to whether you can work together with that group or not. If you can have a frank and honest conversation to say, "Hey, folks, here's how we should do it. Here's what I think. What do you think? Let's come up with something that makes sense." But
Right.
yeah, that's a great test. Do that right away, and if you can't make it work, forget about it. I do agree with your attorney friend, though, that 50-50 mix, that's a
Yeah.
recipe for a disaster. I think there
Right.
should always be a lead in it.
Yeah. Yeah, and maybe you can split the revenue, but like, what's his name on the Prophet, Marcus Lemonis? He's like, I'm 100% in charge. So like, have you ever hired your boss? Like, Steve Jobs basically hired, I forget the guy's name from Pepsi
Oh,
to run the
right.
company. That guy ended up running him out of the business uh,
Yeah. Yeah.
first
My
time
first,
around.
so my first company, which was the middleware software company, the team that founded the company, we were all 25 at the time. So we were pretty young. We built it up to about $30 million in sales in about 4 years. So we had pretty fast growth. And we decided we needed somebody more senior to come in and be the CEO and help us.
Right.
And we recruited the CEO of one of our customers, which was an amazing thing. The guy who was a Fortune 500 CEO came into the company. So suddenly you had this Fortune 500 CEO with a bunch of 25-year-old kids. That's what we were at the time, running around doing stuff. And, guess how that worked out?
Yeah. About to say, that's kind of interesting.
Yeah, it was terrible. So I was heading sales, and I kept having to say, well, salesperson at the time could sell $300,000 worth of software a quarter, so here's what our projection should be. And he'd be like, well, I want you to do double. And I'm like, well, I need more salespeople. He'd be like, no, 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 you'd have to do it with the same number of salespeople. And I was like, well, maybe that worked at your last company, but for the past 4 years, we've done this and it worked. So, and it was always a big conflict. And of course, in the end, unfortunately, that didn't really work out for
Right.
us. So,
Right.
yeah.
So when you have money, it's obviously a little easier to start a business than when you don't. If somebody has an idea and no money, how would you recommend they start?
I would definitely recommend that they test the idea by going to sell it. And let's say, you and I want to come up with a great idea for some marketing software or something like that nobody's ever done before. Let's go, see if we can sell it to a few folks. And if they can pay for the software, maybe even before we have it, maybe we can figure out a way to get it done. And I'm not saying lie to them or anything like that. But I'm saying, let's say, pitch them the idea, see what their receptiveness is to it, all without your spending any money on building the product. Let's go make
Right.
sure there's a market for it first. And, for other types of products, I definitely have got friends who, just ran some Google AdWords against a product they didn't have to see what the click-through rate was going to be, see what happened at different price points, put up a Facebook page, use HubSpot to get something up and running nice and quick so that you can see, whether people are going to sign up for your product online. Let's test it out nice and cheap before you go and quit your job or anything like that.
Yeah, and I've had multiple people on that have talked about that, and basically going to an appointment saying, "Hey, is this a problem?" And they go, "Oh yeah, how much would you pay for it?" And they're like, $1 million. Okay, how about you spend $100,000 and instead of paying $1 million a year, pay $100,000 one time, and we're gonna go develop it, and you'll get lifetime access. How's that? And basically, kind of like finding venture capital or angel funding by pre-selling it,
Yep.
right? And getting some people behind supporting you. And yeah, I've recommended would work with clients. We'll split test headlines like for books or articles or whatever with ads, and just send them through. Hey, thank you very much. We're doing a test. We're working on this. Opt in now, and whenever we finish it, we'll send you the finished copy ahead of time. Blah blah blah. People are like, oh, that's kind of cool. So, yeah, I like the idea of pre-selling it. Then who do you hire? Oh, go ahead.
I was just going to say another way. So my last company, the one, the CRM consulting company, we actually got our first client by hiring. And so what happened
By
was
hiring? What do you mean?
Yeah. So let me tell you the story. It's such a great story. So I said, okay, I'm going to start a CRM consulting company. I need a couple of technical guys to work with me. I'm interviewing technical guys, and one of the guys, I really liked, so I gave him an offer. I'm checking his references. His references said, hey, if you hire Keith, we're going to hire you to do this project that we've got going. And I was like, Keith, you're the man. Let's go. So we literally, by hiring Keith, not only did we, get a great guy on the team, but we got our first client that way.
Nice.
So sometimes just being out in the market, and talking with people and, trying to, get employees, even if you're like, hey, I don't know when I can hire you, but I really want you to join the team. What can we do together? How can we make this work? You can just sort of, put yourself in a position to find that kind of opportunity that you wouldn't if you weren't out there making things happen,
Oh, but Adam, oh no, man, this is like a super idea. And if this is a $1 trillion idea, I can't tell anybody about this. I mean, I've got to get patents and trademarks and an army of attorneys. And I don't think you really quite understand the value of this idea. I can't just go out there. I mean, are you crazy?
No, you definitely can. Absolutely,
All right.
absolutely.
I was
Nothing. No,
wondering if you
I'll
were
tell you this.
pondering like if you were crazy or not.
I was wondering what you were, where you were going with that, but no, no. See, this is the thing. What I read, so I don't even remember who said it, but somebody said something great. Like whatever you're working on, there's 7 or 8 teams that are doing the same exact thing that you're trying to do at this very moment.
Oh, no,
Like,
no, no,
no
no, no, no,
matter,
man. My
no,
mom
no,
said I'm unique, just like everybody else.
nope, nope, nope. There's nothing unique. Everything is being done simultaneously, all at the same time. There's nothing unique, and so you need to just go out there and be with your stuff. Otherwise, it's never going to happen.
Yeah. Well, and I've seen stories now as you start to dig in, like I think it was Alexander Graham Bell, right? Marconi beat him to the phone, right?
Sure.
But Bell was a better marketer. He was like pre-selling it, kind of like what Apple did, right? When Apple came out with the iPhone, I remember they announced it in February, and it didn't start selling until like September.
Oh, right. Yeah.
They just back in '07, right? They just wanted to just poo-poo on the market, and it just stalled everybody else's sales because everybody's like, oh, I want to see what the iPhone's like, and so they were just first to market with a new idea. So is it?
Now Apple had a major advantage because they were killing it with like iPods and stuff like that. But look at Facebook. Zuckerberg started from nothing, right? Now he had to rip off like 15 guys to get it going, right? All the way from the Winklevoss twins or whoever they are to Friendster and all of MySpace. And so he certainly wasn't the first guy, but he built it really well. And then he was just ruthless about getting it out there and seizing the market. So I don't think you need to be first or super original even to really make it happen, but you have to do it right.
Yeah, I mean, Apple didn't invent the
MP3
digital
player
music
either.
player,
Yeah,
right? What
yeah.
Creative Labs? I had a Creative Labs,
Uh-huh. Yep.
player. That thing, it was fine. It was hard drive. The GUI kind of wasn't great, but they invented the code or whatever for MP3s. Apple was late to the market. They're usually late to the market. Really, they wait to see if things are going to work, then they jump in with both feet.
Yep. Yep.
So it
So
shows.
I think in most markets, you don't have to worry about the competition when you're getting started. You have
Yeah.
to do your thing really well, create something that really, has a unique value for a company or a person, and execute, against that idea.
Yeah. Well, and the whole idea as well of intellectual property and protecting it all. It's like, look, I've gone through 2 audits, one by the IRS, one by the Board of Equalization, been threatened lawsuits, been sued. It's like, it's great if you have all these trademarks and everything, but do you have the money and the time and the will to enforce them?
Yep. Yep.
Your people are going to steal your stuff. So just go be better. And yeah, then you can make some money and sue the crap out of everybody. But I mean, if you think that's your way to market, it's like you're never going to make it.
No,
I got to imagine you've had stuff stolen from you and business ideas in the past, right?
Yeah, absolutely. So
I mean, when do you know when to go after somebody and versus like the juice ain't worth the squeeze?
I mean, I've initiated one lawsuit in my career, and it was, a commercial issue, due to payment and stuff like that, never over, stolen property or,
Gotcha.
Anything like that. Yeah.
Right.
I think it's just better to go and innovate and beat people. The effort is much more rewarded in that space than on the
Right.
legal side. And my wife's an attorney, so, I say that with a lot of knowledge of the law.
Yeah. So in your platform, are you preloading this with like some industry best practices, like some playbooks, if you will, for teams, or is it totally native, right? Growing organically by the organization, doing things the way they want to do things.
Yeah, so let me just give you a little bit of context, and then I'll tell you about that. So, for Spirit of Work, we trained our platform on 20,000 salespeople for a year, watching their calls, watching their emails, learning about different types of sales processes. So the artificial intelligence that sits under Spiro would have a good baseline to work with.
Okay.
And then, when we started signing up, paying customers for the platform, the knowledge just kind of expanded from there. And so what that helped Spiro to do is understand, a basic model, a basic playbook, if you will, for B2B sales, not for consumer sales, not for automobile or anything like that, but for companies that are selling to businesses. What's the expected, outreach cadence that you should be having with a prospect. And that would depend on how big the deal is and how long your typical sales cycle is. So there is some variation within there. But if you're selling, industrial drills, or if you're selling, consulting services, or, everything in between, you still need to be talking to your prospects throughout the journey. And that's one of the things that Spiro is very focused on helping make sure that you do. And so literally, if there is a too long a gap and you haven't received an email back or spoken to somebody on the phone, Spiro is going to be prompting you to say, hey, call Wes, it's time.
Right. Should I be worried if I'm a customer? Oh, you're listening to all my stuff. There's going to be a data leak and you're going to get all my proprietary ways of doing things.
I mean, Spiro, from a technology platform standpoint, is very locked down and highly secure. Our largest customer is Singapore Telecom, and they put us through. I'm sorry to hear you went through an IRS audit. We went through a technical audit with Singapore Telecom, which probably was about as much fun to have them go crawl around all of our security protocols and try to hack into the system and everything like that. And no, we're in very good shape for that. Right. So there's really, very, very little risk on that side.
So what have you found in the way of best practices that our listeners could maybe quickly apply? Like timing, or direct mail, or how many phone calls should I text?
So we've found, speaking about texting, we found great results on texting. And so that's built into Spiro. And I wouldn't recommend it for the initial outreach, but once you've established a rapport with a prospect or client, people are extremely receptive to it. The other thing that we've found, which I don't think is in any way earth-shattering, is it usually takes a lot more call attempts to get people on the phone than people realize. Mm-hmm. We're seeing 7 or 8 call attempts to get, somebody on the phone. We're seeing, 14 or 15 emails to get a response back from somebody.
Wow.
And, traditionally what happens is a lot of people, kind of give up before that, or they're focused on kind of the shiny object of the customer who does respond, even if they're not the best one.
Right.
And so what Spiro tries to do, it tries to nudge you to keep up the cadence, come up with something different to say, and really reach out to them at the right time. The other thing that's related to this, which is super important too, is diversification of contacts. And by that, I mean, not just calling that same one person at the company over and over again, but, right, speaking to different people throughout there. And because what Spiro does is it automatically collects contacts at companies that you're selling to. It then, is like suddenly, instead of just calling you, let's say you're the CEO, it's saying, hey, call the VP or call the assistant, or, try other people that you can get some, response from, and have something more intelligent to say when you do that follow-up call.
So is it just doing it by searching the web, or gathering public information, or
it's both gathering public information as well as doing data mining on your inbox, which often has a lot of other information in it that people don't use. So for example, one of the things that Spiro does is when you create a company record in Spiro, let's say Staples, it looks for everybody that you've ever interacted with at Staples. It finds their titles in their email signatures. It finds their phone numbers. It starts to populate all of that information. Let's say John and the other departments interacting with people at Staples, it does the same thing through his email as well to bring all of that information over. Mm-hmm. And it looks at, calendar invites. It goes out to a couple of different data sources that we have to pull in relevant contacts. And it's just all there in Spiro without you ever having to do any data entry.
Right. Very cool. I tell people all the time when they're looking at, like, for copywriting services and ideas, and everybody just, their mind goes blank on writing. And I'm like, go check your outbox, your sent items. You've replied to people in the moment with just gold. They don't realize when they sit and think about what are the reasons to buy from me, like, I don't know. Like, go check your sent folder.
Right.
Because Anyway, well, I'm considering, a Ford instead of a Chevy. Like, here's why, torque and warranty and service. I mean, just all just oozes out of you when you're passionate, right?
Right.
So that whole data mining makes sense, just to go find, the info is there. It's literally that acres of diamonds, right? We're just sitting on top of millions of dollars, but we want to go get on a boat and, travel for 48 hours because we think that the gold and the diamonds are somewhere else.
Right, right. And so the idea is that if you had an assistant who may or may not sound like Scarlett Johansson to help you surface all of that information, then, maybe it would help you, push a couple more deals across the finish line. That's, really the goal here.
So if it was Gwyneth Paltrow, like, would you have like changed your mind and not done it, or is she okay too?
Right. If Iron Man was playing that day, yeah, I don't know. No, Gwyneth Paltrow, I think, probably would have been the inspiration. Actually, the movie Her wasn't such a great movie. It was just the concept of it that was such an exciting thing for me, because I guess I'm kind of a nerd that way. But,
Very nice. Well, this is cool. Now you got me thinking we probably need to schedule you for the CRM Sushi podcast and do a demo of this.
Oh, yeah, that sounds great. Why is sushi involved in the CRM? Is there some sort of dead fish CRM thing that...
Hey, look, don't try to get into my mind. You don't want to see what's behind these eyeballs, all right? And also, so I was looking around at like other names of crazy things that like have taken off. And I do like sushi. My wife does not like sushi. So I never eat sushi as a result, unless I'm traveling. But I was just thinking, well, part of it is kind of like a potpourri, right? Usually when I go eat sushi, I don't know what everything is. And I tell whoever I'm with, like, people are very passionate about their sushi. Have you noticed that?
Yeah, sure.
They're like pros, man. I'm like, I like everything. I just don't know what it is. So first of all, let's get a bunch, right? A bunch of different things. So it's this kind of hodgepodge, potpourri sort of thing. But also, I wanted people to go, CRM Sushi, what the hell does that mean? So at least you click on the link, and now you're looking. So that was probably the biggest reason.
Right.
CRM in the name. So, because and it's also not just CRMs. I demo things that are technology related that hopefully do connect to a CRM somehow, some way, right? To enhance the sales and marketing efforts of businesses. So that's the idea.
Gotcha. Well, I like it. I think with sushi, you're better off not knowing, by the way, what a lot of stuff is. That's been my experience with it.
Yeah. Well, I've traveled the world. I've eaten a lot of things. I haven't eaten I was going to say I haven't eaten brains, but I think in India we did have lamb brain. So I've eaten brains. I've eaten eyeballs. I don't think I've eaten tongue. Maybe, I don't know. Rocky Mountain oysters. We won't even go there, but I ate them. I haven't eaten anything like truly live, like squirming. I have had some friends travel overseas and like they pull it out of the aquarium and like throw it on your plate with a knife. Like, I don't quite understand that, but otherwise I'll eat, because look, there's always
for me, it's insects. I just really don't want to eat insects. I mean, I've had them, but I just it's not something I'm looking for. You know?
I mean, well, I don't know though. They've got like this new protein. It's like, well, they grind it up, but it's like crickets or something. They're making protein powder or supplements out of it. It's supposed to be like super high in protein. I've had that, and that's okay. But you're not looking at an actual cricket.
Yeah. That's
look, man, you can get me on these tangents, and then people are going to
Sorry.
But I'm easily distracted. My wife thinks I'm just a 12-year-old boy, but I think I'm more like a 10-year-old. We got a Tesla, and it's got a fart app, and
What?
Yeah, exactly. We had 5 people in the car Friday night driving around San Diego, and we were all cracking up. So it's not just me, okay? But yeah, you can make farts appear around the car as if it's from one of your occupants.
Wow.
You can make it fart when you hit the blinker. You can make it fart just randomly. But I digress. You see what the can of worms you opened up with.
Yeah, I think we definitely need artificial intelligence to help us with the fart, in CRMs. That would be great. You close a deal and it makes a fart noise for you. I think that would make it a big seller.
Or when you're about to open your mouth and say something stupid, it just like makes a fart sound. Because I would rather my salespeople, I'd rather my prospects think that my salespeople have gas than that they're hear what they're going to say and know that they're totally full of crap. But I
It's the
digress.
predictive fart service. Yeah, I like it. We'll get right on that. That sounds good.
I digress. All right, man. Where do we send people? Where do you want them to go to learn more about you? I see here you got a free download right now, and this podcast, I mean, it'll live forever. But you've got the 44 best sales tips ever. That's a pop up on your site, but you have other
Yeah,
goodies.
so the Spiro, can be found at spiro.ai, which is our website address. And you can, right from the Spiro.ai website, download our 44 best sales tips white paper, which is very, very popular with people that we've pulled together from working with thousands of sales folks.
Right.
You can also sign up for a demo of Spiro, the product, to show you how life can be easier for salespeople without data entry.
Right.
And you can also follow me on Twitter at Adam Honig, if that's kind of your thing on Twitter. Happy to converse with you there on LinkedIn. So any way that you want to connect, we're there.
All right. So I will link to your website. I will link to you on Twitter, and we'll have you back on the CRM Sushi, man. So this has been cool.
Right on.
Well, I hope it warms up in Boston, man, and I appreciate you taking time to come on the show.
All right, Wes. Good talking with you. Thanks a lot.
You too. Have a great day. Artificial intelligence, it's here to stay. Having more and more guests that are in this space, you need to be checking it out, seeing how you can leverage it. How can you use it to scale your company? How can you use machines to bond with your prospects? Proactive relationship management. So as I mentioned, check out the review of his program, his software at the CRM Sushi podcast. Really good demo of how his tool works. But we got into how do you start with no money, right? And I've always talked about on the show and with my friends, looking to start businesses here. If you can't pre-sell it, how are you going to sell it when your butt's on the line? If you can't handle that kind of pressure, you better start selling it early. All right? Every idea is being worked on now, so don't keep it a secret. Amen. I love these people talking about getting NDAs and patents and all this stuff. It costs money to defend that. Just get going, okay? Get after it. You're using that as an excuse to not move forward because you're afraid. I get it. Move forward anyway, all right? If you need that kind of help, if you need somebody to kick you in the pants in a good way, in an encouraging, supportive way, and you want to do it affordably, come hang out with me, 30daysalesgrowth.com. Come join. I'll help you grow. I guarantee it. Go back and listen to this over and over again. Check out all of the different tools out there, the guests that I've had on with these new products and programs. I mean, these are smart people building big things. You got to check them out. All right? Check me out online. Thanks for subscribing if you have. If you haven't, please click the subscribe button. Check the notes on each episode as well. You can swipe up. So please subscribe so you get the episode right away. Helps boost my numbers. Leave me a 5-star review. And then go sell something.